Hey everyone, it's been a while since we've done a video, but I wanted to give a shout out to Fuji. I am now part of Team Fuji. They hooked me up with some awesome gear. We've been selling their gis for a long time, and I think they're the best on the market. But just thankful that they sent me out this awesome gear, and with it, they sent me out this new black belt, which looks very nice, and so I have to put my stripes on it. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, man, the only time I've ever kind of looked at, what are the stripes supposed to look like? You see all sorts of different things out there. You see people with these fat stripes, and you see the big stripes on the end, like the professor's bars and everything. And I'm wondering, what is the standard? All I've had to go off of is what I've seen my instructor do, Helson, when he puts the stripes on my belt. And he actually lined this one up for me. Now this is kind of faded a little bit. You can see the professor's bars or whatever have kind of gotten thinner, but most of these stripes here he actually put on. And so I've always kind of followed his guideline as far as how thick they are, or how thin rather, and the spacing on them. So I was wondering, like, is there a standard somewhere? Is this written down? And just so happens that I had acquired a copy of the 1967 Federation. Now it's only a photocopy, but nonetheless, it's got the standards for the belts and the time and all that sort of thing, and then how they're actually supposed to be lined up. And the border, as you know, or most of you know, is what separates Jiu-Jitsu from the other martial arts. And so I went to this guide. This is the only thing I could really find out there. I looked on the IBJJF website, and really all they have on there is like the length of the belt after it's supposed to be tied and that sort of thing. But I hadn't had anything that I could look at and say, okay, what is the actual the distance, where the border should be placed, and all these sorts of things. But it actually has a nice guideline for you right there. I'll see if I can move up, and if you can see that, that's the black belt there, and the professor's bars and the degrees along there. So I'm gonna doctor this belt up exactly to specs. I got my handy little ruler here, and I measured this already, and it is actually, according to this, they made this belt properly. There's 2 centimeters here, and then there's supposed to be 10 centimeters of the border. Okay, and that's exactly what this is. So nice job, Fuji. So we're gonna get my ruler out, and I'm gonna put the professor's bars on here first, and then I'll put the degrees on there, and you'll see what the sizes are supposed to be like. So if I'm reading this correctly, the border actually goes on the professor's bar actually go on this border. So I'm gonna line it up just like it says on there, and it has specific requirements as far as the space between the degrees. So I'm going to doctor this up, and we're going to see what it looks like. Now, we'll say this. The best tape for this, at least that I've found, by far, Johnson & Johnson's coach's tape. So we're going to measure out, let's see what that's supposed to be. The border is supposed to be 2 centimeters exactly. Okay, so that's right about 2 centimeters. So I'm going to put my borders on. I always like to do 2 passes. Personal preference. There's no right or wrong here. This stuff rips really, really easily. It's one of the things I like about it. You see a lot of people use this for their fingers. Okay, so there's one. Okay, so that, technically, by the book, is what the borders should look like. Okay? And if I'm reading this correctly, the stripes begin at the end of the belt and move their way upward. I see some people have their stripes up here and move their way down the belt. According to the book, it's this way up, okay? So we're gonna see what that looks like. And those are supposed to be, if we're reading this correctly, this is really precise here, it looks like. Each degree is 5 millimeters with 4.3 millimeters in between. I don't know how I'm going to measure that properly, but I'm going to do my best. So I'm not going to go all the way, with all the degrees here, but just to give you guys an idea of what it's actually supposed to look like, because there isn't a whole lot of red bar left really when you put those thick borders on there, and So I just put 2 degrees on there so you can see there's plenty of room left if you keep that same sizing to move all the way down to 6. As you know, once it gets to the seventh degree, it becomes a red and black belt. But yeah, I think if I measured it out properly, that is what it's supposed to look like. So a little different than what people I think are wearing out there, and even for me, as you can tell, it's much different. You can see my borders aren't as thick. That's my fault. They've kind of fallen apart. Helson did it right, but the degrees are much thicker actually on this belt than they're supposed to be. So that is what it's supposed to look like. We'll take a little. There you go. Now you know. Hope it helps. We'll see you.